Now that you know your fish farming equipment and you also know your fish farming input, let me now take you through how to set up a complete and a functional fish farm step by step. And if you haven't watched my previous videos where I talk about the fish farm equipment or GS and fish farming input, then watch them out. And if you are following this live stream till this end, I thank you so much for this. And I hope that you actually learn and that benefits you as you are aiming to. My name is Abdulaziz Issa. I'm a fish farmer and I help people in their fish farming businesses. Now, you have gotten your equipment and your input. What do you do? The first step or the first thing to do is to choose your location. Choose where you want to put your fish or your fish farm. And choosing the location, there are several factors you need to consider. Among these factors include the place you are choosing should be secured and peaceful. I'm saying peaceful and secure because security is very paramount. If you're going to put your fish farm or your location, if you choose it at where there are a lot of disturbing people, there are a lot of thieves, there are a lot of people who will come into your farm and cause harm, then you are likely not to be successful. So choose a secured and a peaceful location. Another important thing to select under the location is the water source. In the previous videos, we talk about water source and the water source that is ideal for your fish. So either of them that you are choosing, but make sure that you have a place where you have continual water flow or where you continue to get water for year round. The reason is that I know a lot of farmers who are only able to raise their fish during rainy season. When it is dry season, their water source get finished and all they do is to stop production and wait till rain comes again. And I'm very much sure that you will not want this to happen to you. And the best to do that is to choose the location wisely by considering place with enough water source. Also choose location that has the potential of expansion, because you may start with 2 or 3 ponds and you like the business and you want to expand. So if you have a very small space and you can't expand there, it means that you need to choose another location where you can do the expansion. So it means choosing a place where you can scale up is very important. Another thing to consider is market availability or location or close to market where you can get people to actually buy your fish. And if they buy the fish, how to transport them? There should be road network where they can buy fish and transport them to, or where you want to transport your fish to market where you can pass through. And also source of electricity. But this depends on the type of electricity that you want to use. If you're not intending to use the national grid, fair enough. If the solar, anywhere you can set it up. So by choosing location and considering all these factors is going to help you a lot. Another important thing or step we need to consider is your pond style. What type of pond do you intend to set up? In the first video where I talk about the fish farm equipment, I described and I mentioned all the types of ponds: the concrete pond, the earthen pond, the cage pond, the tarpaulin pond, the glass pond. All these I mentioned them there, and I gave you the advantages, disadvantages, and what to expect from each of them. So I wouldn't have to go to all of them, but choose. You can watch out that video, but choose the pond that is appropriate for you. But in this scenario, in this case, I'm going to choose tarpaulin pond because it is beginner friendly, and this video is tending to reach out to more beginners, and it is also mobile and easy to set up, and it supports both tilapia and catfish. Now, having chosen the tarpaulin tank, what I will do also important is water system installation. I will now, after getting my water source, install my tank I will now lay my pipes. I will now connect my water source to the pond. And like I mentioned previously, it depends on how you want to connect it. Someone can easily get a water hose, put it to the tap or the stand pipe, and then or get a pump, put it in a bowl or whatever source, and pump it into the pond. Period. Someone will also decide to lay pipes from the water source to the pond, and the water flows through into the pond. Whichever method you choose is fine for you. The next thing is to have your installation of aeration and filtration system. If I intend to set up RAS, that's the aquaculture system, or filtration system, then this is the stage that I will do that. And remember, all along, you have not brought the fish or the fingerlings, because these things come first. So I will install my filtration system and my aeration system. And if you are hearing this for the first time, filtration is removing the insult particles from the fresh water, such as the waste and the leftover feed, whereas aeration is adding oxygen into the pond. And these two systems working together, you will not be changing the water all the time. And that brings us to the recirculating aquaculture system. If I intend to do that, you install it. So I'll install my RAS. And like I mentioned previously, in case of tilapia, it will be difficult to raise them in tarpaulin pond without having aeration. The fifth step I will do is my pond conditioner. After installing my tarpaulin pond, I will now wash it thoroughly. So I will wash the systems, the filters that are connected. I wash everything and I'll disinfect it. And the common one is to use the salt solution. Dissolve salt in water and salt bath the entire pond and the container and everything. That is the cleaning. And I also make sure that I check the temperature and everything to be okay. Now, having done this, and then I put in my water, I also make sure that if there's chlorine, I try to remove the chlorine or I allow it to stay for the chlorine to go out. The sixth thing I have to do is stocking preparation. I will not prepare to stock my fingerlings or my juvenile or whatever size. And so in the stocking, first of all, after buying the fingerlings, I need to transport them into the farm. When you're transporting your fingerlings into the farm, make sure that you do not overcrowd them so much in the container. Make sure that the container, there is ventilation for air to pass through during the transportation. Make sure that the temperature of the water in the container is relatively normal way. For instance, if you expose the container into sunlight excessively, the water becomes hot, and by the time you get to the farm, all the fingerlings are dead. So you wouldn't want to do that. Even a situation where the journey is far and you are going and you make sure that, or there's a time you think that the temperature is higher or the oxygen is depleted in the pond, you can easily change the water, especially depending on the type of container that you are using. And the second thing after transporting, when I get there, doing the stocking is acclimatizing the fingerlings. Don't just pour the fingerlings or the juvenile into the pond. This can shock them because the temperature that they are coming from the container, the temperature that you are putting them in the pond are never the same. So the immediate change of that environment can cause shocks, and that can lead to disease and even mortality. This is because it weakens their immune system. So the best thing to do is to acclimatize them. And the acclimatization has to do with put that container in the pond, allow it to be flowing. Just put it there for about 20 minutes or so. Then leave it there. And then later, you now let the water in the pond to be going inside gradually and to be mixing up. Just leave them until the fish themselves are swimming out into the pond. What is important here is that as you are doing that, you let the container to be flowing in there. The temperature is neutralizing, and the pond water is entering. The temperature will be changing. It will not change once. until themselves adjust to the change and move into the water. And that way, that is the best way of stocking your fingerlings. Now, in terms of the stocking, make sure that you do not also overstock or overcrowd your fish. Stock them the right way. And the best thing to do is to stock them about 10 liters of water to one fish. Either less or this is fine, but above this is not good. If you want to learn how to calculate the stocking density of your pond, we have a video on that. Check it out in the channel. Now, the seventh thing is feeding plan. After you have stocked your fingerlings, immediately don't feed them. Allow them for several hours. What I mostly do is that I don't feed the fingerlings the very day I stock them. I leave them till the following day. Unless if you stock them early in the morning, probably late in the evening, you can feed them. But if you stock them late in the evening, then don't feed them, leave them till the following day. And when you are going to feed them for the first time, make sure that you don't feed them more. Just give them small and leave them to take it. If they take it, give them a little and just leave them like that. Because at that time, they are so stressed. They are so not that okay with that new environment. And give them more feed. They might not eat it and that can contaminate the water. So subsequently, any time that I'm feeding or you are feeding your fish, make sure that you give the responsive feeding method. Give them small at a time, or that's how they eat, take it. Give them more till you notice they slow down, then you leave them like that. And in terms of frequency of feeding, it is dependent on the stage of the fingerlings and you as a farmer. But what I do is that when they're so small, like juveniles or jumbo or fingerlings, I feed them twice a day, morning and evening. And when they grow up to 4 months and above, at that time, I now feed them once a day. But that once, I give them adequate that it can sustain them from the following day. Like I said, the frequency depends on their stage and the preference of you as a farmer. Often some people choose 3 times a day, especially when they're so small. The 8th step has to do with my daily routine or your daily routine. Stocking, feeding, we have looked at that. Now, what do you do daily? You have taught them, you have feed them. You know how to feed them. Now, every day when I come or when you come to the farm, the first thing you have to do is to check either there's mortality, if there's a dead fish. And how do you know? A dead fish floats on the surface of the pond. If you haven't seen such, then you observe to see the behavior of the fish. How are they swimming? Are they swimming okay or they are not? Are they active or they are not? Are they gasping for oxygen or they are not? All these things you check it. If you check this, if there's any mortality or any garbage in the tin, remove it. After doing this, checking all that and everything's okay and they are good to go, if I have my aquaculture system, my filtration system, system, I check them as well. And if everything's okay, then I now feed my fish and then that'll be it for my daily routine. The ninth thing is weekly routine. Every week, you need to observe that is checking the parameters. For instance, if I have the test kit, though if you have time, you can be checking it daily, but it is not just it is just waste of time to be checking your water temperature or your water parameters every day. So this is weekly routine. Every week you check to see the water parameters. But do partial water change if there's a need be. More especially if you don't have filtration, or if you don't have filtration and probably because you're washing out because for evaporation, the water level goes down, top it up. So either do partial change or top up the water. And then check your records. For the records, it's something you do daily. So weekly, you review that records and make sure that everything is intact. Now, have a look at these 9 steps. The 10th one, which is the last one, is I'll give you some of the avoidable mistakes you need to do as a beginner. These mistakes, if you avoid them, you'll be successful. The first thing is always try overstocking. As I mentioned earlier, don't crowd your fish too much for the capacity of the pond. Each pond has the capacity of fish that it can contain. Calculate that to be rest assured. But to just give you summary, 10 liters of fish is to give you 10 liters of water is to give you one fish. It means 1,000 liters of water, you stock 100 fish into it. 10,000 liters of water, you can stock 1,000 fish into it. But in how to calculate to know the amount of liters in a pond, if you want to know that, then you need to check out our video where we talk about how to calculate the stocking density. Apart from overstocking, also avoid overfeeding. People commonly believe that the more you feed your fish, the more they grow. This is partial true, because actually if you're not feeding your fish well, they will not be growing. However, you need to also be careful not to overfeed them, because if you overfeed them, the leftover feed always decay and decompose, introducing high ammonia, and high ammonia is toxic for your fish, and that can kill your fish. So make sure that instead of just giving them more feed for them, sometimes they wouldn't eat, do the responsive feeding method. Feed them enough and don't also underfeed them, because if you underfeed them, they won't grow. But if you also overfeed them, they will die. So to strike the balance between underfeed and overfeeding, use the responsive feeding method, which I've talked about earlier. The mistake you should also avoid is buying bad fingerlings. In fact, bad fingerlings can die and they won't grow. Bad fingerlings can stuck in growth, they'll not be growing well. Bad fingerlings can be prone to diseases. And now, how do you determine good fingerlings? To determine that, buy from trusted source. And if you go there to buy the fingerlings, make sure that you see the fingerlings being active. If they are not active and they are very dull, probably they might be subjected to disease, and if you transport them to your farm, you are likely to lose them. Now, having avoided these mistakes, God willing, you will be successful in your fish farming journey. If you have watched this video or this live stream so far, I don't know how to thank you, because it is a lengthy one. And if you are also watching the breakdowns, part 1, part 2, part 3 separately, then I also thank you so much. But if you want to get the complete understanding, you need to watch the part 1 where we talk about the essential equipment input, and the last one, which we talk about steps in putting up a functional fish farming. The links of each of these videos are in the description. And you can also check out the entire live stream that covers everything complete, and you're good to go. The link to is in the description. Like I always say, the purpose of this channel is to help you grow your fish farm. And the support I need you is to subscribe, comment, share. Let me know your thoughts in this session, in this video. And thank you so much for watching. And please, if you watch so far, you will see that we keep thinking about filtration system, aeration system, because water quality management is very paramount. If you don't have good water in your farm, then you are not going to have better experience of fish farming. That's why we have the circulating aquaculture system. We install this for farmers. But if you want the easier way and to have that your own knowledge, then consider enrolling in our DIY, that's a do-it-yourself filtration and aeration system. If you enroll in this course, it is pre-recorded videos that contains tens of videos where you can watch, and we break it down step by step, everything practical, where you can learn it yourself. The link is in the description. Check it out, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.